that some say Bilderberg is secretly trying to take over the world. We're trying to find out why some of the biggest names in business and politics are currently meeting very discreetly.
Bilderberg is a meeting of powerful centrist industrialists and politicians. They always meet in secret once a year in a five-star hotel with golfing facility. The world government, which is what Bilderberg is into by and large, the idea of a one world community, a new world order.
Now, the real Illuminati are the secret society within the secret society, the upper echelon of Masons like Albert Pike that concealed the truth from the majority of members, and most definitely us simpletons. The Bohemian Club is a secret society that meets at the Bohemian Grove and consists of the elite, royal banking, Amazon executives, Google, Bill Gates, politicians, presidents, Supreme Court justices, people like that.
Now a question. What have Herbert Hoover, Art Linkletter, Jack London, and Richard Nixon all had in common? Well, they've all been members of the exclusive all-male Bohemian Club in California, where every year at this time, the elite from around the country get together for 2.5 weeks of fun and games. Steve Shepard has this special assignment report.
More than 2,000 members of San Francisco's exclusive and all-male Bohemian Club have once again descended on Northern California. These men will spend most of the month of July encamped on some 2,700 acres of pristine and privately owned redwood forest. Forest very much like this. The place is called Bohemian Grove, and it's located just 80 miles north of San Francisco. The Grove is the Bohemian Club's summer retreat, and its facilities are hidden beneath lush forest canopy extending south from the banks of Sonoma County's Russian River. For more than a century, the camp has been a place where club members and guests from all across America gather to relax. The retreat is divided into dozens of small camps, the most prominent of which is called Mandalay. Among its members are businessmen like Leonard Firestone and Edgar Kaiser, and political figures like Gerald Ford, Henry Kissinger, William French Smith, and George Shultz. President Reagan, Vice President Bush, and Defense Secretary Weinberger are members of other camps. Richard Nixon is a Bohemian, and so are high-ranking executives of such companies as Eastern Airlines, Standard Oil of Indiana, and Bank of America. For the most part, the men of Bohemian Grove are over 50, highly successful, and, according to many employees, politically conservative.
Well, each year, many of them seem to have a stunt or try to come up with a stunt. Last year, in 1980, the popular button was Free the Fortune 500.
Membership in the Grove is by invitation only and is determined by such factors as social standing, occupation, and personal connections. Privacy is one of the Grove's most cherished virtues. Members may not photograph, record, speak, or write about activities at the retreat. While many public officials are Grove members, the press is a distinctly unwelcome guest.
We're from ABC News.
Well, get back there.
Can we talk to somebody in the...
Get back there.
Sociology professor William Dumhoff found out enough to write a book on the place.
Well, I think it's a playground for the powerful. It's a place where wealthy men from all of the United States gather for 2 weeks to relive summer camp with this ceremony called the cremation of care that begins the 2-week encampment where the body of dull care, symbolizing woes and concerns, is burned on an altar in front of a big owl statue. When that ceremony ends, they all start to cheer and yell and hand each other a beer.
Like a boys' camp, the Grove has a symbol, in this case a somewhat fierce-looking owl. It also has a patron saint, St. John of Nepomuk, a legitimate 13th century Bohemian canonized for his sense of honor. What the Grove does not have is any women, not even as employees. Despite its camp-like atmosphere, the Grove does host some serious business.
To the degree that there's anything important happens at the Bohemian Grove, it's political. The important speeches that have been made at the Bohemian Grove have been made, for instance, and the best example, by Richard Nixon. Eisenhower gave a speech there. It was the first time the West Coast establishment really saw him close up.
Discussions at the Grove in the 1930s helped lead to the development of nuclear power and the atomic bomb. It was at the Grove in 1967 that Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan hashed out differences over their presidential ambitions. Each year, guests like Henry Kissinger or Zbigniew Brzezinski address members on their areas of expertise. Presidential counselor Edwin Meese will be among this year's speakers. And each year, other guests come to the Grove simply to enjoy themselves. This year, CIA Director William Casey is a scheduled guest of John McCone, former CIA Director. Baseball Commissioner Bowie Kuhn has been invited as a guest of baseball owner Peter O'Malley.
And the other brotherhood of this is the Bilderberg Club, and that is more the European side of it. And you know what? International conglomerational meetings of power are illegal, and this is, no media is allowed. That is the real conspiracy to me. They say they're just having fun and stuff, and they give talks. Do they really plot how to guide the events of the world? Will we work for nothing? Our money has no value because the Federal Reserve went off the gold standard, so it sure seems like it to me. We have nothing backing our currency. The most elite and rich people in the country meet in secret with no media and no laws pressing charges against them for doing something so illegal. How is that not a conspiracy?
Well, up next on World Business Today, you may not have heard of it, but some say Bilderberg is secretly trying to take over the world. We're trying to find out why some of the biggest names in business and politics are currently meeting very discreetly in Germany. Conspiracy or cozy talking shop? The Bilderberg Group is meeting in South Germany this week, at least according to the Financial Times, which says a group of powerful men and women will debate the future of the world. The paper says the steering committee of Bilderberg includes Deutsche Bank boss Josef Ackermann, Nokia CEO Jorma Ollila, Daimler Chrysler's Jürgen Schrempp, and outgoing World Bank President James Wolfensohn. I asked John Ronson, who has written about Bilderberg, what it really is.
Bilderberg is a meeting of powerful centrist industrialists and politicians. They always meet in secret once a year in a five-star hotel with golfing facilities, and they've taken on the image for conspiracy theorists of the fabled shadowy cabal that secretly rules the world.
Are they?
Well, yes and no. I mean, they're
a bunch of powerful people. They meet in secret. They say we meet in private, which isn't quite the same thing, is it?
It's not quite the same thing. I do think that by and large, many members of the Bilderberg Group actually see themselves in much the same way as the conspiracy theorists see them, as this shadowy cabal out to, if not to rule the world, but to influence world events.
What would they see as their purpose then? I mean, presumably it's a good get-together of powerful people. They don't often get a chance to meet away from the glare of the press. One could understand why they might want to have a private chat.
Yeah, and that's certainly got something to do with it. They see themselves as wise globalist centrists. They were set up post the Second World War by people like Dennis Healey, David Rockefeller and various others. And
there's a degree of idealism there, isn't there? They didn't want to go to war again. I mean...
Oh, absolutely.
Is that a sinister conspiracy?
Well, I mean, it depends what side of the political spectrum you sit on. And you know, many of the anti-Bilderberg conspiracists are right-wingers who see themselves as twigs in a tidal wave of globalization. They see themselves as nationalists. And they think the idea of a world government, which is what Bilderberg is into, by and large, the idea of a one-world community, a new world order. You know, they see that as...
They see themselves as a government as opposed to a group of, well, leaders or people with influence at a global level who are talking about global issues, do they?
They see themselves as headhunters. They'll get an up-and-coming politician who they think may be president or prime minister one day, and as globalist industrialist leaders who believe that politics shouldn't be in the hands of the politicians, they try and influence them with wise words in the corridors outside the sessions.
Anyway, all that we can do is research these issues for ourselves, because whether you believe it or not, a lot of people believe in this. Whether you think I am crazy or not, a lot of people really are crazy and are ready for a coup d'etat. They're ready for an armed revolution, and a lot of people might do something crazy over this. And I get death threats over my research all the time, so I hope I'm doing something right. And the most important thing you do is it's extremely crucial to get good sources. Now, research topics I think important that you should check out are the gold standard, the Federal Reserve Act, look what happened at Enron, WorldCom, the 2008 banking crisis. Look up the ninja loans, that's what caused it.
You want to go on that vacation? Buy some new clothes? How about putting an addition on your house? You don't have the money? How about a home equity loan? That's for you. Just use your house as a piggy bank.
The banks granted loans to almost anyone. Why would you need a decent income to buy a home if you can get rich just living in it? The market even coined the term Nina loans. No income, no assets, no problem. You'll get a loan anyway.
The legislation was more aggressively pushing lenders to lend to people of modest means, people whose incomes were 80% of the median income or below.
Politicians encouraged this. For a long time, both the left and the right have been encouraging home ownership. So they've created deductions, subsidies, and insurances. And they created two huge mortgage financing companies, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Their job was to use thousands of billions of dollars to insure loans for people who couldn't get them on the open market. They were government-sponsored enterprises. They had private owners, but they had been created by Congress, and their transactions were guaranteed by the government.
Ninja loans are no income, no job or assets. They were giving home loans, which are like at least $800 a month, to people with no income and no jobs. They were packaging all these loans up as market securities and trading them on the market, and then when these people couldn't pay their loans and the loans collapsed on the market, people lost everything. Now, other things you can look up are the other secret societies like the Rosicrucians and see how they're tied into the Knights Templar. You will learn our entire history as well as all our religion has been lied about, all of it. You learn it is all about money, and all of the secret societies from the Rosicrucians to the Knights Templar have roots tied to Freemasonry and Solomon's Temple. Also, of course, God will help us, and I think it is because of him that I found a lot of this stuff out. He also said in Acts 2:17 of the King James Version Bible, "And it shall come to pass in the last days, saith God, I will pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions." Well, I have a vision for a new enlightenment, one where all reveal the secret history that has been hidden from us. Let's not fight over religion or skin color or rich or poor or any of that crap, but let's fight for the truth. People need our help because God also said in Isaiah 44:18, "They know nothing, they understand nothing, their eyes are plastered over so they cannot see, and their minds are closed so that they cannot understand." Also, the Bible says in Luke 8:17, "For nothing is hidden that will not be disclosed. Everything that is concealed will be brought to light and known to all." So I'm telling you. Anyway, don't be blind and don't be a fool. Just because something is hard to accept, and if you see evidence for it, don't close your mind to it. Keep an open mind and research both sides of the story. Remember, if you want to learn the truth, God wants you to be the real light of this world full of evil and darkness. Now, anyway, let's check out some of these sources. This is the most important thing to do, to see that there are credible sources on this. As you saw, Time magazine, unfortunately, they're rumored to be part of the media blackout that was bought out by the Illuminati. Nick Harding wrote a good book. C.W. Leadbeater, John A. Robeson, Proofs of a Conspiracy, Manly P. These are the ones you want to get. Robeson, Manly P. Hall, Albert Pike, and that's about it. So anyway, it's interesting because, like I was saying, this is a current stock market chart of the comparison in 1929 till now. So as you can see, they really like market manipulation. And one last thing I got is here's some more Washington Baphomet, and here's the Knights Templar with Baphomet. And again, as you can see, there's plenty of books. You got to recognize, though, there's a big difference between this. This is probably an independent researcher, a guy like me, writing his opinions on this stuff. There's a big difference between a book like this and a book like Manly P. Hall's, where he's an actual Freemasonry philosopher. And there's also a big difference between an actual person with a doctoral degree in something like archaeology describing this stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I hope you learned something, and I really hope you begin to research things like the Federal Reserve Act, symbolism, and, hidden Masonic rituals, and why they're in all aspects of our lives today. Thank you.